All right, it is a crazy world indeed, isn't it? But very exciting things happening. As we all know, Saddam Hussein, the man responsible for the attacks on World Trade Centers on 9/11, has been caught and has now been tried and has now been convicted. And they went ahead and set him up to be hung, which is great news, because now we can all sleep a little bit more peacefully here in America. Now, of course, they didn't try him for the attacks on 9/11. I guess they'll get to that eventually. What they tried him for was the order of the murder of 188 Shiites in his country like 10, 15, 20 years ago. And he didn't actually kill them, but he ordered the killing of them, I guess. And maybe that's murder. Like, you don't have to necessarily be the one who does the murder, but if you order the murder of people, then that's a crime. In any case, the Iraqi tribunal is a party supposedly, allegedly responsible for this verdict. And, they did this because killing other people, murdering other people is morally wrong, and also it's against the law and it's a crime. So, that's why they tried him. Now, of course, as punishment, they're going to murder him. Get it? I know. It's fucking crazy. But it's the world we live in. Now, let's move on. This is something that it's actually something that a lot of people, probably all over the world, have been thinking about. What about the 600-something thousand people that the U.S. and coalition forces have killed in Iraq? Is anyone going to try, the U.S. and coalition forces or the people who ordered them to do these murders, like the Bush White House or Tony Blair's cabinet or, whatever? And it's really fascinating when you think about it, because a whole series of questions presents itself, such as, why is it a crime and morally wrong to order the murder of 188 people? That's kind of obvious. But it's not a crime to invade another country and then kill 670,000 of their civilians. So by what rules, or what rule book, better, are we living by? Now, what I and many of my friends, we like to kind of call it the Barbarian Rulebook, the official Barbarian Rulebook. And, like one of the rules in the official Barbarian Rulebook is on your pancakes, you don't pour maple syrup, you pour like Aunt Jemima syrup, but it has no maple syrup in it, That's like one of the rules. It's unofficial because there's no actual Barbarian Rulebook that we know about, but maybe there is, but like the few of us just don't know about it. In any case, I guess according to this rule book, you can kill 188 people, and talk about speedy trial, bam! And you can be convicted of murder, and then, of course, you can turn around and murder that guy as a way to show people that murder is wrong. Because if murder is wrong and it's a crime, then the best way to show people that murder is wrong and it's a crime is to turn around and do the same thing. Remember that. I think that's another rule from the Barbarian Rulebook. Now, check this out. I'm not the only one who's noticed this. In Pakistan, the opposition religious coalition claimed that American forces have caused more deaths in Iraq in the last 3.5 years than Saddam did during his 23-year campaign. That's the truth. And he insisted that Bush should stand trial for war crimes. Now, to some people, I'm sure, like in the middle of the country, that may seem, oh my God, war crimes for Bush? He only killed 600-some-thousand people. What's the big deal? But to probably a small minority of us, that actually seems like a rather intelligent thing to say. Of course, that's not going to happen, because another one of the rules that's in this rule book is that those with the biggest guns create the rules. So right now what we're seeing is certain countries around the world create all the rules. So you can look at the Barbarian Rulebook almost as if it's virtual. It's constantly changing. Like Wikipedia, the online encyclopedia, it's constantly changing and being revised and being rewritten. I think I think that's one of the things that we can safely bet on concerning the barbarian rulebook. Now, the barbarians of the world still rule the world, while a lot of people sit by on the sidelines and just watch with absolute shock and horror and awe. This kind of thing that we saw with putting Saddam Hussein on trial and then convicting him of murder and then murdering him being his punishment, which is, seems rather hypocritical. But again, it's from the official Barbarian Rulebook or the unofficial secret Barbarian Rulebook. This is not uncommon. We see this thing all over the world. We see it in America as well. America has the same policy. They have laws that say that murder is a crime, and it's also morally wrong. So it's morally wrong, and it's against the law, and it's a crime. And yet, if you get caught killing someone, they immediately turn around and kill you as a way to show you that killing is wrong. It's really twisted. And again, I mean, if you're not of the barbarian species, or you're not of the barbarian variety, it's going to seem weird. And you got to work hard, and you got to work fast to kind of catch up and learn all these different rules or laws that are in the barbarian rulebook. A lot of these same people that follow these rules, like thou shalt not kill unless you want to kill someone because they killed, and therefore it's okay if you kill them. These people are also, they call that capital punishment, by the way. Capital punishment is non-existent, it doesn't exist. It's just, it's just a bunch of bullshit that they made up. It's what they call a euphemism in the Barbarian Rulebook. Euphemisms, from what I understand, I'm young, so I'm new at this. I'm trying my best to catch up. Euphemisms are deceptive, friendly-sounding catchphrases that barbarians use to try to make their kind of twisted, psychotic ways and means seem not so twisted and psychotic. So, in other words, if they want to kill somebody, they call it capital punishment. The person that they capital punish is usually someone who also killed someone, but they call that person and what he did murder or a murderer. So, okay, he wouldn't be a capital punisher, he would be a murderer. But if they then turn around and murder him, they would be committing capital punishment on him. You get it? Fascinating. A lot of these same people are also pro-life. Now, pro-life actually doesn't mean what it sounds like, pro-life. Pro-life actually means anti-personal privacy and anti-personal liberty. But again, just because we're learning this, don't go saying that to them. Because if you say it, chances are they will commit capital punishment all over you. And I know you're learning like I am, so that means they will probably murder you. So you got to be careful with that, okay? Pro-life. Now, I mentioned pro-life. I just want to say for the record, I am personally, just so we're on the same page here, I'm personally pro-life, and I'm personally pro-choice. I know that sounds strange, but there is a third option. Now, the powers that be don't want people to know that there is a third option. They want you to think you're either pro-life or pro-choice, and then that way they keep everybody polarized against each other to keep everybody's minds and attention off the real issues, like the billions of dollars that they're making from the invasion of Iraq. And there's so many other issues as well. So, for me personally, just so you understand, I'm not dogging the pro-life people. I'm pro-life and I'm pro-choice. What that means is that for myself personally, if I was faced with the issue, I would choose the pro-life option for myself. But when it comes to other people's business, such as when they are faced with that issue, I will keep my nose out of their business in order to respect their personal privacy and their personal liberty. And the reason is because I'm American, and that's what we were supposed to be all about here in America. Okay? So, not dogging on pro-lifers. Okay? I'm with you. Okay, now, speaking of this whole thing with Saddam Hussein, bear in mind, it's not all bad. Okay? There are some people on the sidelines who are actually speaking up, who seem rather enlightened and well thought out and intelligent. Most notably, some of the European countries who are calling emergency meetings to not commit capital punishment on Saddam Hussein, and in other words, not kill him, but instead give him life imprisonment. And these are the European countries, the ones that seem a little bit ahead of us now. Remember, we were the ones who kind of skyrocketed and started the whole freedom, liberty, privacy, democracy thing in the world. But then somehow we got sidetracked and we're off in la la land. And now the European countries seem like much more, democratized and enlightened than we do, especially over the last 10 years. Italy, Spain, the Netherlands, France, Sweden, they're all calling to put Saddam Hussein in prison for life as opposed to kill him, which actually makes sense, since if we kill him, then we're just basically showing that we're a bunch of hypocrites and that murder is not actually wrong, but just in the minds of those who are writing the rules. Chances are you're going to see any minute the Bush White House junta regime is going to come on television and declare this a victory for Iraqi democracy. So, if murdering people who murdered you is justice and democracy, then again, those of us who aren't aware of the rules in the Barbarian Rulebook are going to be scratching our heads. I'll tell you, it's like, when we're kids, if you remember, they teach us the 2 wrongs don't make a right? And if you're a parent, you probably teach your own children 2 wrongs don't make a right. And of course, what we learn as we grow up is that 2 wrongs often do make a right in this world. Either our parents were full of shit, and they were just lying to us, or in the Barbarian Rulebook, when you turn 18 and you're old enough to go to war and kill people, or buy cigarettes, or vote, all of a sudden, then 2 wrongs don't make a right is a rule that no longer applies to you. Maybe 2 wrongs don't make a right is only a rule for barbarians that applies to barbarian children. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know. Again, I wish there were an official hard copy of the Barbarian Rulebook, but there's not. So we kind of just have to guess a lot of times, and then we have to learn by watching them. That's just the way it is.